Of course, folks, that was last night at the Washington Nationals baseball stadium, where a Capitol Hill police officer threw out the first pitch in the game, but with, of course, members of Congress. Let's actually go back to that video. He was one of two African-American police officers who actually saved the lives of members of Congress, of course, who were shot by a man as they were practicing just 2 days ago. More than 20,000 people. More than 20,000 people showed up for this particular game, the highest attendance they've ever had. And of course, Crystal Griner, of course, she was also shot and she was injured. And she was injured in that shooting. She was not able to attend because she is still in the hospital. It was extremely emotional last night as a number of lawmakers prayed at second base. Steve Scalise there, of course, the House Majority Whip, he is still in the hospital. Yesterday, he had his third surgery. He had his third surgery as a result of the shooting. Doctors say he is going to have even more shootings as a result of that gunfire he took being shot in the hip. Quite tragic there as well, folks. Hakeem Jeffries, of course, congressman from New York, he was with us yesterday. He, of course, played in the game last night. He joins us right now. Congressman, how are you doing?
Good. Good morning, Roland.
Give us a sense of what it was like being on that field as you saw that officer throw that first pitch out, but also just the camaraderie that existed between members of Congress from both sides of the aisle after this shooting.
Well, there was a tremendous amount of emotion, Roland, which you captured during your opening. I think the two most compelling moments were, one, when the members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, gathered at second base to pray for Steve Scalise, as well as the health and well-being of everybody who was affected by the shooting that took place yesterday. And then, of course, when the Capitol Police Special Agent David Bailey threw out the first pitch, after he threw that first pitch out, every single member of Congress, Democrat and Republican, lined up and went over to him to hug him, to thank him, and to praise him for his courage and for his bravery. The other thing that was interesting, we usually line up, Roland, as we are announced on either side of either the first or the third base line. Traditionally, that's what takes place during baseball games, but in this particular instance, we lined up across the field after being announced, alternating between Democrat and Republican, again, to try to convey to everyone that we stand there not as members of a political party, but as Americans.
Not only that, obviously there's so much attention and focused on both sides coming together, but here's the question: will we see that actually translate on Capitol Hill when it comes to public policy?
It's a great question, and I think, quite honestly, it's an open one in terms of whether this can carry over. I do think that the spirit of cooperation, based on my engagement with members both who are Democrats and Republicans, is a genuine one. This was a moving situation, and as you pointed out, without the presence of those two special agents, it is likely that additional lives would have been adversely affected, and many may have actually lost their lives. It was because of the heroism and bravery, as the Republican coach again talked about. Those Capitol Hill police officers ran to the problem. They engaged the shooter. That's what opened up the opportunity for the Republican members to take cover, to escape with their lives, and for that shooter to be taken down. That does seem to have impacted, as you would expect, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. They are human beings, first and foremost, and members of Congress second.
I want to play some sound here of an Illinois congressman who also talked about, of course, this shooting and what took place last night.
They would not have been there. This would have been a massacre of major proportions of innocent people in a park where innocent civilians walk their dogs. We have kids at practices.
But Officers Griner and Bailey prevented that, and my family and I will be forever grateful. The thin blue line held today.
It is clear to me, based on various eyewitness accounts, that without these two heroes, Agent Bailey and Agent Griner, many lives would have been lost.
Without them, there would have been tremendous loss of life, and I probably wouldn't be talking to y'all.
So, Congressman, there was also a resolution that was passed unanimous on the House floor honoring these two police officers as well. And so you can talk about their heroism as well.
Well, you know, what's interesting, make no mistake, we do have some tough issues that we have to address moving forward. But the personal heroism that members of Congress witnessed or were told about, was something that everyone can relate to and that everyone has been moved by. And we're just thankful for the fact that each and every day you've got members of the Capitol Hill Police Department who put their lives on the line to make sure that all of us can be safe as we carry out our duties as representatives of this great American democracy. And so I'm hopeful, cautiously optimistic, I should say, that this will be a moment of clarity for all of us. We're going to continue to have tough fights. Democrats and Republicans philosophically disagree on a whole host of issues that impact the people that we represent. But perhaps we can agree to disagree, but not be disagreeable, as my grandmother would once say, and try to find areas where we can find common ground. Criminal justice reform being an example where many Republicans, including Trey Gowdy, have been individuals who have shown an interest in working with us as Democrats to try to deal with the mass incarceration phenomenon. That certainly, for me, is going to be the starting point as to how we can march forward, hopefully together, in finding problems that impact the American people. In this case, many of the African Americans that I represent here in Brooklyn, and that people in the CBC represent all across the country.
All right, then, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I want to talk about this, of course, with our panel symbol here to my left, Jacqueline Charles. She is the Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald. Also, Dr. Marvin Dunn, author of A History of Florida Through Black Eyes, former psychology department chair for Florida International University and founder of Roots in the City. Marvin Wilmoth, vice president of development for KCG Development. So here's the thing that I find to be interesting. Okay, so you see all the talk about heroism. You see, folks, we should play the game and bipartisan support. But again, I want to see it translate on Capitol Hill. Okay, if you say we can get along during the baseball game, why can't you figure out how to do that when it comes to public policy when you have the Republicans in the Senate who literally are hiding a health care bill and nobody can look at?
Well, you know, I remember 9/11 and how we felt about coming together as a nation when that happened to us. And we did come together for a while. But that didn't last, and I don't think this moment will translate into the sort of thing that we're hearing people say they hope that it will translate to. The divide is so deep in our country today that I don't think this one event is going to take us very far along the way of trying to come together on some of these issues.
Well, one of the things I found interesting was one of my colleagues tweeted that during the game, the members still sat based on party. So they came together, but at the end of the day, the Republicans still sat among themselves and the Democrats still sat among themselves. But when I heard about this incident, the first thing I thought about is that whether we're going to get, gun control, whether they can find some sort of a common ground there, or once again, are we going to just go back to the raucous debate that we're used to seeing, at least with this Congress?
Well, hopefully they can use this time to change the discourse in America to a more positive direction.
Well, again, I want to see them actually do it. So it's one thing just to go ahead and actually say, well, we came together for a game, but can we actually see it when it comes to public policy now? A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. Your hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.